Greetings, everyone, and welcome. It is March the 12th, and we're the day after the talks in Saudi Arabia between the United States and Ukraine, and we do have some direction and a game plan for where we are now headed over the next few days or few weeks in regard to a potential truce. Now, with that said, as you can see by the title of the thumbnail, wait a second, hear me out, please. Thank you for being here, liking, commenting, subscribing. I would love to know your opinion on what I'm getting ready to share with you. Let's start straight away. So we keep hearing this reference about, well, now the ball is in Putin's court. And technically speaking, yes, the ball is in Putin's court because now we do have to officially hear back from Moscow. But I'm going to come at it from a different perspective today, and I'm going to tell you that the ball is immediately, when the comments come from Putin and the Kremlin, the ball will immediately be back in the court of Donald Trump and Washington, D.C. That's where I think the ball is already. So here's facts only. Ukraine is ready for a 30-day truce and begin negotiations after that, making the teams Europe involved for a just and lasting peace. Trump has also stated that he may speak with Putin this week. No confirmation of that. And we are hearing the American delegation is on the way to Russia right now, and Russia will have to respond. Here's JD Vance.
Got some conversations that are happening on the phone and in person with some of our representatives over the next couple of days. As the president said, we think that we're in a very good place where the Ukrainians have agreed to a ceasefire, and we're now going to see whether we can get the Russians to agree to a ceasefire too. And we'll certainly have news on that when we find out that news.
So you can hear it right there. That's Vance, of course, the lapdog for Trump, talking about we're in a good spot. We're in a good place. We've got the Ukrainians wanting to agree to a truce, and the team's on the way to Moscow, and we're going to hear and see what they say, and then we'll go from there. You see, the thing is, Vladimir Zelensky already knows what Putin is going to do, and we have some historical insight into this. And listen, if you will stick with me for 4 or 5 or 6 more minutes and hear me out, I think this will change your perspective or maybe reinforce your thoughts on the situation as well, because I think I have some video proof as to what is going to happen, meaning the ball's going to be going straight back to the court of Donald Trump. The Russian viewpoint historically during this war coming directly out of the mouth of Vladimir Putin. The counterplay will be Putin demanding his own conditions that may be difficult for Ukraine and its European allies to accept. So this truce offer has went to Russia. And now, do you think Russia's just going to accept it? No. At the minimum, they're going to counteroffer it in a very strategic way that only benefits them. At the maximum, they'll just reject it. But at the minimum, and I expect a calculated counteroffer. June the 14th, 2024, Putin declared his requirements for a ceasefire. This is less than 1 year ago. This is what Vladimir Putin said.
These conditions are simple. Ukrainian troops must fully withdraw from Donetsk, Lugansk People's Republics, Kherson and Zaporozhye regions. Note, from the entire territory of these regions, within their administrative borders that existed when they were part of Ukraine. As soon as Kiev declares readiness for this and begins actual troop withdrawal from these regions and officially notifies about rejecting NATO membership plans, we'll immediately order a ceasefire and start talks. I repeat, we'll do this without delay. Of course, we'll simultaneously guarantee safe and unobstructed withdrawal of Ukrainian units.
So there you have it. That is less than 1 year ago. You can hear what Putin said in his statement. A, the 4 regions are ours, and the Ukrainian military will have to fully withdraw from all the regions, and we will give them safe passage. And the moment they withdraw, it's done. We will guarantee that safe passage, and it's over. So historically, this is what Vladimir Putin has been saying. I can tell you last night, massive missile strike on Kryvyi Rih with a double tap. I'm going to talk about that later in a video. We know Russia doesn't want peace, but we have to go through the steps right now. The ball in Russia's court, but I'm telling you, the ball's going to be back in the White House in a New York minute. Russia has insisted on maintaining control over the occupied territories and additionally Ukraine's refusal to join NATO. The questions of Ukrainian military pullback and foreign peacekeepers will also play a major role as we proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just telling you the facts here. After thinking about it and pondering about it, and we did so much video yesterday and covered it and gave the facts, then when you begin to process, especially if you've been working on this for the entire war, or as I have 30 years of my life working in this region, you begin to process and you say, hang on a second. Hang on a second. But in addition to that, other information began to become available. In fact, what I'm going to show you in just a minute is kind of crazy, to be quite honest. So the question is, whose court is the ball really in? The ball actually is going to be in the court of Donald Trump and the White House. We have made our power play, meaning Ukraine, the Americans, the Europeans with their meeting. Now, Putin will respond. It will probably be with a crazy response to get a reaction out of the West, out of the United States, out of Ukraine, because they want to continue the war. That is a fact. They want to continue to wipe Ukraine off the map. So whose court is the ball really in? Donald Trump's, because there's a statement that will come back maybe tomorrow, maybe a week from now, but there will be a reply and the ball will be in the court of Donald Trump. Now, have you guys heard of this guy, Wilkerson? This is the narrative running around on Russian media today. I watch Russian media and I'm telling you, this is much more complex than you think. This is being watched in Russian media. This is being watched in Ukrainian media. So this is Lawrence B. Wilkerson, and I pulled this right off Wikipedia, born June 15th, 1945. I remember him, retired U.S. Army colonel and former chief of staff to United States Secretary of State Colin Powell. He is from Gaffney, South Carolina, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, you would think, okay, this is a normal guy. He was, the chief of staff for Colin Powell, and he's retired Army colonel. Okay, this dude gets it. So hold that train just for a second. And this is why I'm telling you, the ball's going to be in the court of Donald Trump in a New York minute. It's because of reasons just like this. This is shocking. This is what Russians are watching today.
I think it's going to be particularly difficult to enforce it. Not because of the Russians, because I don't think they'll break it. I think we need to worry about the Ukrainians and elements in Ukraine, particularly when Zelensky's gone, which is going to happen, I think, taking their own measures, just as they did all throughout the 2000s, to make the Russians mad enough to start it back up again. That'll be their fundamental tactics, I think, is they'll use guerrilla tactics to hit the Russians, and then the Russians will get angry with that, and we'll have no more ceasefire. That's going to be the problem, I think.
Really, Colonel? Really? How on earth did you become a colonel with that information? How did you become chief of staff to Colin Powell with that information? Oh, well, the Russians, we can trust them. They're not going to break the ceasefire. It's going to be the Ukrainians. And when Zelensky's gone, it's just going to be all factional and it's just going to fall apart and the guerrilla warfare is going to happen and then the war will be full force again. What planet are you on, Mr. Wilkerson? But this is why I'm saying the ball is going to be in Donald Trump's court very, very quickly. Very quickly. And we will see how the response will then come from the United States, Europe. We know where Ukraine stands. Zelensky made it very clear today. In fact, I plan to put out another video. Zelensky gave his red line today. He talked. He was in a Ukrainian private press conference sharing about yesterday. Powerful statements. I hope to get that to you a little bit later. Now, there's one more thing I want to share with you while I'm saying, hold on a second. Hear me out, please. This is a guy named Oleg Sahakyan. He's a political scientist, and he is co-founder of the National Platform for Sustainability and Cohesion. He is an anti-Kremlin propaganda expert. Now, listen to what he says about this truce possibility.
This is a tight spot for Russia. They have no good way to answer this truce. But it's also a challenge for Trump. Will he pressure Russia or not? It's a litmus test, as Russia clearly lacks goodwill. They won't abandon plans to destroy Ukraine anytime soon. So don't expect Russia to act in good faith. It'll only happen under US pressure and threats. And here's the key question. Is Trump ready for this or not? What will Russia do? Russia's been in tight spots before and knows how to escape. Don't underestimate their diplomacy. They're experts at turning weaknesses into strengths. It's one of Putin's villainous talents. He knows how to do it. The Russian spy school does give some skills. They love to show off in Europe and fail missions. They do have some strengths. I think they'll introduce new factors and drag things out. They'll agree, but with conditions like troop withdrawal to a certain distance. They'll try to put pressure on Ukraine with unacceptable terms for troop withdrawal. They'll start this process while creating tension in transatlantic unity. I think they'll use fragmentation and new variables, tying it to bigger issues. They'll constantly try to expand this approach. The question is if Trump will agree to new demands on Ukraine. That would be a real betrayal.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Can you tell the difference between Wilkerson and between Sahakyan? I'm telling you right now, this is where we're at. He's saying it very clear. Is Trump ready for this? Because the ball's coming back. Don't underestimate the ability of Russia to negotiate. Don't underestimate decades of KGB training. Don't underestimate that they are prepared for this. And when these alternative narratives come, and they will come, and he even spoke about the same thing I did, troop withdrawal, same thing Vladimir Putin said a year ago, less than a year ago, June of 2024. What's going to happen then? This is why I asked you today, wait a second, hear me out, please. This is where we're going to be going next. I'm confident of it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting. Please drop a comment. What are your thoughts on this? Are we underestimating? Is the ball really in Putin's court? Or is the ball quickly going to be back in Donald Trump's lap? For me, I think it's obvious to see. We're just getting started. You guys be blessed, and we'll be back at you later.